Hey guys, what's up? It's munclesonkey and welcome to a new Slayer guide. This time we're going to be going over lava Strykewyrms. So if you're wondering how to kill these fairly new Slayer creatures, you have come to the right place. Before we get in exactly how to kill the monsters, first we have to go over what you can expect from them. And first of all, the Slayer XP from these monsters is decent but not great. It's a very average level Slayer XP task if you would get it from Curdle or Morvain compared to the other tasks that you're getting. Around 110k with level 80 weapons to 140k with level 90 per hour, and this does take into account that you're not getting PK'd, which is definitely a possibility. So if you die once or multiple times or have to teleport out all the time, that's definitely going to cut down on your Slayer XP per hour, so that's one thing to keep in mind. The profit per hour is good if you get a drop. Just from the regular drops alone, the profit per hour is about 800k to 1.2 mil an hour, so not great at all unless you get a drop, and the drops are fairly rare. However, they're doubly as common if you are on Slayer task when killing lava Strykewyrms. So if you're into getting one of the Strykewyrm pieces to make the tier 85 weapons, you definitely want to be doing that on Slayer task. Also, the charms are fairly decent. They're a miniature Glaciers as they drop 3 charms per kill, and they drop quite a few blues and crimsons. Not quite as good as Glaciers are, but the charms are definitely respectable here. Okay, time to go over some gear setups. So I will be showing a ranged and a magic setup, and let's try to get over this quickly. First of all, for the ranged setup, I am 4-iteming because it's the wilderness. People can and will try to attack you. It's, for the most part, fairly easy to avoid them. But just to be on the safe side, I don't bring a lot of the armor slots, and they're not needed because lava Strykewyrms have incredibly high accuracy. So even though you might block a few more hits by bringing some boots and gloves or a cape, it would not make a huge difference. So if you'd rather not lose your gear and not have to restock, just go with the top, bottom, Slayer helm, and two-handed weapon. If you don't have a two-handed weapon, you have to use dual wield like Ascension crossbows or seismics, for example. Then what you want to do is just not bring any leg armor, and you will be able to protect all 4 of those if you die by using the protect item prayer. And that's the setup for ranged. Royal crossbow, noxious longbow works if you have that. And then for magic, chaotic staff or noxious staff if you happen to own one with sea singers. If you don't have ports armor, you can either buy the buyable ports armor off of the Grand Exchange, or you can bring your next best armor, something like Ganodermic for magic or Royal D'hide for range. Not as effective, but it'll still get the job done. And then for your inventory, you're going to want overloads, prayer pots, a few Ceridon brews in case people do try to PK you, a yak with scrolls if you have 96 summoning. If you don't, a tortoise full of rock tails, as well as some either alchemy runes or magic note papers because they do drop a lot of runite items and ashes. And finally, a games necklace to teleport to Corporal Beast because that's how we'll be getting to the lava Strykewyrms. The route to lava Strykewyrms is as follows. You start in the Corporal Beast cave, and you do have to have the quest Summer's End done to teleport there. If you don't have that quest done, you can take the canoes from Edgeville into the wilderness. If you've done Wildy Warbands, you probably know all about this, and you'll come out about where I am right now, and then you just run directly to the west, and you go to the lava Strykewyrms. I did try to go on a foreign world in order to avoid PKers, and I found that there's still people here even on a foreign world, so there's no way to avoid PKers. You're going to have to learn to deal with them, but one thing is you're only in level 35 wilderness, so you just need to get down 5 wilderness levels if you do get attacked, and then you can teleport out using your Amulet of Glory, so it should be doable if you get attacked by a PKer. With all that being said, the lava Strykewyrms are fairly annoying to kill as they do have a very high combat level, very high accuracy, and they're going to hit you more often than not and deal quite a bit of damage when they do. You can choose to prayer switch them, and I'll show you guys how to do that in just a second. I'm doing a very bad job of it here, but they do use 3 different types of attacks. They use a melee attack, which is why you want to stand not within melee distance of them because that hits very accurately, and a magic and a ranged attack, which can be avoided by using prayer switching and defensive abilities. So giving a demonstration of how to prayer switch against a lava Strykewyrm, you always want to start out with protection from magic because their magic attack does not have an animation, it just immediately attacks you. And then if they shoot a fireball and it hits the ground and bounces towards you, that's their ranged attack. So that's the cue for you to put on protect from range. And then the fireball that shoots directly at you is the magic attack, so you want to make sure that's why you start off the kill praying magic because it's a bit harder to prayer switch that. Prayer switching on the action bar is a little bit faster, but it is up to you. And finally, if you have the devotion ability unlocked from Galwar's dungeon, you want to make sure that you're using that as much as possible to negate a lot of the damage that you're getting from the lava strikewyrms. And overall, even with per switching, you still will take a lot of these hits of 400, 500 damage, or 1000 damage if you miss a switch, so you will burn through a lot of food either way. The method that I personally use to kill the lava strikewyrms, because I don't bother to per switch, is just pray magic the entire time, because their magical attacks are much more damaging than their range attacks. And then I use the abilities debilitate, which will reduce their damage by 50% for 8 seconds. Really good ability, make sure you're using that one. And devotion, which will block all the damage from those magical attacks for the next 10 seconds. And with using both of those, you can last significantly longer than not using them. Also, one other thing to keep in mind is you can debilitate and then use soul split after you do that, and try to heal back a little bit of that health, because they'll be doing less damage to you while that debilitate is active. The last thing to keep in mind is, even with using debilitate, devotion, and trying to use bruise and rocktails as effectively as possible, is these things do hit very, very hard. So if you are a lower level, you're only going to be able to get maybe 30 kills per trip maximum, and you will have to bank fairly often, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because then you won't be losing your drops to PKers. But this task can be a little bit frustrating just because of the immense amount of damage that you're taking from the lava strikewyrms, so it's really up to you to determine whether it's worth it. But it is some decent Slayer XP, it is some decent charms, and hey, if you get lucky and happen to get one of the pieces of the weapons as a drop, you're going to make quite a bit of bank as well. The foreign worlds are of course an option, but just keep in mind that's not going to fully protect you from PKers. You will run into PKers no matter where you do this task, so you do want to keep that in mind, and just make sure that you don't get too frustrated with people trying to kill you, because it is the wilderness after all. So these are the results from one task of lava strikewyrms. It took me 52 minutes in order to kill 61 lava strikewyrms. So again, the kills are quite slow, but they are fairly high level creatures. And then the rewards were 114,000 Slayer XP, not too bad for 52 minutes of work. That's fairly decent, as well as a little bit over 1 million GP. Now, a decent amount was spent in supplies, but that's just the raw items that I got from the task. So depending on what type of weapons you're using and food and overloads and all that, you will spend a decent amount of supplies, so this task is only really profitable at all if you are getting a drop. Also, keep in mind with the charms, I did not pick up a lot of the charms because my inventory was just too full. I already have 120 summoning, so I'm not too worried about the charms, but if you are concerned about them, you will get a really good amount of charms, close to about 70 to 80 blues and crimsons per hour, because they do drop multiple charms per kill. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. If you have any need for other Slayer guides, link is on screen as well as in the description. I'll see you guys next time with the next video. Farewell.